what's up and welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to be giving a review for the film Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. Now this is a spin-off of the Mad Max franchise, but it's also like a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road. Now again, you do have George Miller who's back on board directing the film, but this time the film focuses on like the character of Furiosa, and she's played by a younger Anya Taylor-Joy, because this time it's focused like on her younger years. You get to see like the stuff that happened to her when she was a kid, like how she was like taken from her mother and her mother was like killed and all that kind of stuff like that. Then that eventually she seeks like vengeance against the person that did this and all that kind of stuff like that. But it also has Chris Hemsworth, and he's like the antagonist of the film. He plays Dr. Demetrius, and he's like the villain of the film. He's the one who actually kidnaps like Furiosa like at the beginning of the film and takes him to like to his local area where he's like in charge and so on. Because the film is basically about him trying to seek power over all these different like territories amongst like the wasteland. It's like a bunch of different territories. Like I think Gas Town was one of them. Then there's like other areas too where you have Immortan Joe, like he's like residing over his own area too as well, that Dr. Demetrius wants to take over. But most of the film is really focused like on like Furiosa herself. You can see her as like a regular girl. And now I mentioned that she's played by I think I mentioned it, that she's played by Anya Taylor-Joy. It's kind of like spoiler territory. Now the movie is real long. It's like 2.5 hours. I think like 2 hours and 30 minutes. And there are like some like little Easter eggs kind of at the end of the film. Even kind of throughout the film, there's like some like cameos and stuff. I'm not going to spoil it. But Anya doesn't really show up in her role as Furiosa until about like I think an hour into the film, because I even timed it was like an hour into the film before she finally showed up. But most of the film is like this other girl that's playing her. I think Lyda Brown, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She portrays like Furiosa when she's like a very young girl, and you can see already how she has skills to like steal and like fight and all that kind of stuff. She could be like, you know, deadly and all that kind of stuff. But eventually, you know, like I said, she's like there for like the bulk of the film. Seemed like it at first, but then Anya does show up as the Furiosa like about an hour into the film, and at that point it's like decades. I think it's kind of leading to like kind of the events of like Fury Road. It's still like way before that particular film, but it kind of eventually does like lead into that. Now there's also like other people in the film that I want to touch on, like and like I said, at times, even though it's like focused on like really on Furiosa, at times you kind of it kind of drifts away from what the film really was about. Like there's moments where it's like chase sequences, and then I forget why they're actually into this particular chase moment, and I forget that they probably was actually trying to pursue something like some kind of resource like food or like gas or something like that, but then they'll break out into like a chase scene where they're being chased by like people trying to kill them and stuff like that. But you do get to see like the rough events that happen in her life that transforms her into what she eventually becomes. Now there's also like this other guy in the film known as I think Praetorian Jack, and he's like a commander of the Citadel's like first war rig. Now he's played by Tom Burke, and he's actually like kind of like he's kind of there with Furiosa when Anya takes over the rock. When she becomes like the character, he's there to help her out and so on. Because at first they're kind of like enemies, but then he takes her under his arm, he trains her and so on. I don't want to go into all that too much, but you can tell that like a relationship was building between the two. So I thought he was kind of interesting. And they also have Immortan Joe, like he's in the film again, but this time he's played by a different actor. I think the guy's name is Lashy Homie, I think that's how you pronounce it. There's also like tons of other people like in the film, like the History Man, the People Eater. I just leave it at that because it's like so many. But I must admit, I like the look of the film. It looks cool, like the orange and like saturated type look to the film, like the colors of the film. I think it's done very well. I think that's awesome. Like the cinematography, like the open like wastelands and everything just looks so awesome, I ain't gonna lie. And I must admit, like the action scenes in this film, I even hear how expensive like this film apparently was. I think it says like 160 million to make, because I'm here now, you know, that it didn't do too good at the box office and it cost so much to make it. But it does show on film, like the action scenes, they are just like explosive, like, and they are like entertaining. Like there's like tons of like explosions, like car chases with vehicle chases and everything. Because there's this one moment where like Jack and Furiosa, this part was like the best action sequence in the film, where they're like in the truck and like a bunch of like enemies are like pursuing them and chasing them and like throwing like spears at them, trying to blow up the truck and all that kind of stuff. And it was really awesome. But yeah, the budget of this film really does show, because there are some explosive like action moments and sequences in the film that were really, I thought, was shot very well. They were like awesome. This is probably easily, I know it'd be like more films of the year, but I bet it's probably like the best like action film of the year. Like the action scenes were really that explosive, like entertaining. Now the film is real long, and it doesn't really feel like it's that long because it kind of goes by real quick, like the pace of it. But it's pretty cool. Now I did think that Chris Hemsworth, I thought he was kind of like very over the top in his role as Demetrius. He was like very over the top, and he is like ruthless and like, I guess you could say even at times. It does seem like he's kind of like good, but he is still like an evil and like ruthless person who tortures people and stuff like that. Now another thing I noticed too with the film, a lot of it was like a few characters in the film you don't really know like their fate. You believe that they were killed off or something like that, because you could see that they were like supposedly killed off, but you don't really see it actually happen. So you can tell right there that some of these might return like in future like Mad Max films, if you feel me. But overall, I thought Anya Taylor-Joy, she was pretty cool in the role, but she didn't come into the role. It's like an hour into the film, but she still had a lot, because the film is like long, so she had like an hour, like in like a half, you know, of like stuff that she can do like with the character of Furiosa. But overall, it was still a pretty solid film. I still think that Mad Max Fury Road, I still thought that was like the better film. But I think it was still a pretty like solid film. Like in the action scenes, like I said, it was easy like the best action film of the year, if I'm not mistaken. I give this like a B minus. So yeah, this is my review for Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. Like I said, it is like explosively like entertaining, like the action scenes, like the look of the film. I like how it looks like the wasteland, the cinematography and stuff. It's just done very well. So I'm giving this a B minus. Please leave a comment and subscribe too as well.